Okay, so this is, let me see your, no, not this, the arithmetic sequence that's on in your notes, the formula. Yeah, let me see this. A to the n is equal to a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so you can flip over now. I've seen that formula. Okay, this right here will be the value of the term. This variable right here is the value for the first term. And I probably should say this is the value for the nth term. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. I'm just going to label the values first. This is the number of the term. So this n right here and that n right there would be the exact same number. Okay? And then this is called the common difference. So let's start by trying to figure out what that actually means by common difference. So, have you written that down, right? Okay. So let's go to our little worksheet. The common difference talks about the difference between each one of these numbers. And if you have an arithmetic series, then if I add the same number to each one of these values or I subtract the same number away, then it's arithmetic. Okay? So in order to go from 18 to 218, what do I have to do to the 18? What do I have to add to it?
200.
Right, negative 200, right?
Negative 200.
When I go from 218 to 418, what do I do to it?
Negative 200.
Negative 200. When I go from that one to that one, what do I do to it?
Negative 200.
So since they're all the same, right, that means that our common difference is negative 200. So I'm actually going to do something with that sequence. So let me write it up here. So I had negative 18. I had negative 218. I had negative 418. I have negative 618. And then it says dot, 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 because that pattern is always going to be the exact same. So we said that this was minus 200. From there to there was minus 200. And from there to there was minus 200. So that means that that minus 200 would be my common difference. So D would be equal to negative 200. That's how you find it. Okay? This term right here is the first term of the sequence. So that means that negative 18 would be equal to A1. Because that's the very first term of the sequence. Okay? So if I'm trying to piece this formula together, right? Let's say I want to find the third term, right? So this is your first term. This is your second term. This is your third term. So in this case, n is equal to 1 there, n is equal to 2 there, and n would be equal to 3 there. So this is the first term, so n is equal to 1. So that little subscript that you see there, that's why it's got a 1 there, because it's the very first one. So I want to check to see if this equation is going to give me that value. Okay? So when I say that it's the value of the nth term, if I'm looking at the third term, then n is equal to 3. Okay? And A3 would be equal to negative 418. So let's stick it in this formula to see if I actually get the same number. Okay, so I'm going to stick in each one of the numbers individually so you can see where they go. Remember, this a to the n is the value for that particular term. We're talking about the third term, so I'm going to stick that number in there. So it's going to be negative 418 equals. This is the value for the first term. The value for the first term is negative 18. So I'm going to write negative 18 there, plus n is equal to 3 because I'm talking about the third term. So I'm going to do 3 minus 1, and then my common difference was negative 200. So I'm going to put negative 200 there. Okay? So let's write this out. So I'm going to do 3 minus 1, which is what?
2.
2 times negative 200 is what?
Negative 400.
Negative 400 plus negative 18 is what?
Negative 418.
So that gives me that number.
Okay.
Okay? If I wanted to write the explicit formula for it, this is what I would do. I would say a to the n is equal to, I'm going to stick in a1, which is negative 18, plus n minus 1 times the common difference, which is negative 200. So if I were going to write this out as an equation, a to the n would be equal to negative 18 minus 200 times n minus 1. And now I can figure out what the value of any term for the series would be. Okay, so I'm going to erase some of this so we can make some room. Oh. So remember, this is my formula, right? Let's say I wanted to find A4. I want to know what the value for A4 would be. And you already have them written down there on your paper, right? So let's check to see if we get the same number. So A4 would be equal to, what is my first term?
Negative 18.
So I'm going to write negative 18 there, minus, my common difference is what?
Negative 200.
Mm-hmm. What is n equal to if that number right there is 4?
4.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if we get the same value. So we have negative 18 minus 200 times 3. What's 200 times 3?
600.
Negative 600. And what's negative 600 minus 18?
Negative 618.
Is the fourth term equal to that number?
Yes.
Do you see how these numbers work now?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go through that again with another one of the questions. We're going to write the recursive relationship or the explicit relationship, and then we're going to actually find some extra terms. Okay? The hardest thing about this is just identifying what the values are. Once you understand what the values are, it's not that hard. So let me erase this. And I'm going to write the formula up here so we have it. A to the n is equal to a1 plus n minus 1 times d. All right. So let's write those numbers. Write them down for me, and then I'll write them down on our whiteboard. Okay. So our numbers were 1, 11,
21.
21,
And 31.
and 31. And then it's dot, 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 dot. Okay. The first thing we have to do is find our common difference. So that's our d. What's our d value?
10.
Mm-hmm. What's our a1 value?
1.
Mm-hmm. And let's say I want to find term A3. Let's just check it since I have it written there already. I want you to write the equation for that value.
So that would be A3 equals 1 plus 10 times 3 minus 1.
Mm-hmm. So what do we get?
You get 21.
Is this A3?
Yes.
Yep. So what if I wanted to do A10? What would that be equal to?
91.
Oh, just write it all the way out for me.
So it'd be A10 equals 1 plus 10 times 10 minus 1.
Mm-hmm. And you're right, it would be 91 because you're so brilliant. So write the explicit relation for me. What is AN equal to then?
AN equals A1 plus...
Well, what is A1 equal to? Because we know that number.
1.
Mm-hmm.
Plus and minus 1 times D.
Okay, what's D? I actually want you...
10.
It's 10 times n minus 1. So when you're writing the explicit relationship, you don't write in the n values. You see that? That's actually how you do it. We have time. Let's do just one more of these. And just tell me the common difference and then write the explicit relationship for me, okay? Do number 5.
So that would be an equals -8 plus 20 times n minus 1.
Good. Okay. Not hard, right?
No.
Okay. And I want you to do 16 for me.
Do I need to find A40?
I want you to find A40.
Okay. Let's be an equals 1
Is it arithmetic? Or arithmetic? Huh?
It is not.
It's not. It's not. That's why I wanted you to see that. Because sometimes it's not. Okay. 17.
Okay, so that would be an equals -25 plus 10 times n minus 1.
Okay. And so A35.
So that would be $3.15.
315. Good. It would be 315. Okay, I'm going to